Welcome back to Pound for Pound ATL.
It's Pound for Pound ATL.
What's going on, football fans? It's me, J.R. Clark, back again with another rendition of the Pound for Pound. Well, the stage is set and the schedules are finally out. We already knew who we were playing, but we didn't know when we were playing them. Well, that was released last night. Now, I'm sure y'all are probably seeing this Saturday morning, but as you can figure, I recorded this Friday night. But nonetheless, before we get diving too deep into the schedule and how it sets up, I'd be remiss if I didn't do a little bit of house cleaning. First and foremost, appreciate y'all's support as these videos have been coming out. It's been amazing. Just the love and support that we have gotten from all y'all has been awesome. Toby's last video, I think we picked up, over 100 subscribers, which is great. I mean, it just goes to show that y'all are enjoying the positive type out content that we're putting out about this team. So thank you so much again. And if you haven't already, subscribe, like, share, comment, all that stuff. We love to interact with y'all. We love to engage with y'all, and y'all are showing that y'all enjoy engaging with us. So now on to some other little type house cleaning stuff before we really get into the schedule talk. Over the past week or so ago, we traded away a 2021 7th round pick for Charles Harris to the Miami Dolphins. Now, why is that all that significant? Well, obviously he's a former first round defensive end. So that tells me that maybe they didn't necessarily like the defensive ends that they had on the market. A lot of those guys were older veterans that were definitely going to command a lot more money than what Harris commanded. But needless to say, I think Harris had $1 million or so left on his contract. So they went ahead and declined his 5th-year option. So it is definitely a low risk, high reward. I mean, if he changes scenery and gets into a system that may suit his style a little better, he may, turn into a solid depth piece, solid rotational piece. So it's really interesting to see them take some of these low risk, high reward type signings. I mean, this goes up there right along with Laquan Treadwell, another former first rounder who didn't pan out in Minnesota. Maybe he can recapture his first round talent-esque for not a very big price. So I don't know if it's Rich McKay's influence or TD's desperation, but I am definitely enjoying these seemingly smart moves that they're making. Now, obviously they have to pan out, but at least they're not swinging for the fences and paying out a ton of money for a guy like Jadeveon Clowney for him to come here and be ineffective and injury riddled kind of deal, So that's some of the housekeeping type stuff. But let's go ahead and get into the schedule, because as it came out, like I said last night, I don't know about y'all, I didn't watch the ESPN thing because I knew they weren't going to spend much time on the Falcons schedule, because on a national level there really has been no reason to. 2 seasons, 7-9, very disappointing. There are bigger storylines, and buddy, are they pushing some storylines. Right out the gate, before ball one has even been snapped, they are trying to make this Tampa Bay Saints game a rivalry. They're trying to make it feel like what you had back in the day with Brady versus Manning. Well, now you're trying to do it with Brady and Breeze. And man, I hope it lives up to the billing. I don't think it's going to, but you can call it the Brady effect or you can call it whatever, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have 5 primetime games this year. 5. They also had a not so great season last, decade plus. But yet, because Tom Brady's there, you're going to give them 5 primetime games and you're only going to give us 2? Okay. I see how it is. Y'all don't have to tell me that there's a bias. I mean, stuff like this shows me that there's a bias, and I try not to talk about stuff like that. I try to keep it a little more positive, but when it's in your face, you got to talk about it, right? I mean, you sign Tom Brady and all of a sudden you got 5 daggum primetime games. That's a little suspect to me. But, all right, let's just get into our schedule, right? We're right out the gate. We're taking on the Seattle Seahawks at home. It's been a couple years since we had a home opener. Last one I can really remember was 2016. So that's really cool. I enjoy having home openers. I don't think I'll be able to be there, but it's still good for the fan base. It's still good for the team to be able to like get rolling, hopefully out the gate in a friendly environment. Now, I made a mistake earlier, or when the schedule first came out, and I got really excited because I thought we had 3 home games in a row. I was wrong. We don't have 3 home games in a row. We go, it's home, road. And so we followed up with a trip to Dallas. Now, that's going to be real interesting. I mean, Dallas has got a decent defense, but it's now a Mike Nolan defense. Now, Mike Nolan hasn't been in charge of a defense since he was the defensive coordinator here, if I'm not mistaken. I think after he left here, he went to become like a linebackers coach or something like that. So it'll be real interesting to see what his defense looks like. You know, everybody's kind of giving him love based off the players and stuff they have, but you know, that's a big like churn on the coaching, and especially with the offseason the way it is right now. You know, they're not able to really get in there and teach them their system like they want. So we might be catching Dallas at a pretty good time. It'd be interesting to see how that goes. Now, you come off the Dallas game and you come back home to the, let me see who that is. Sorry. My brain don't work as well as it used to. The Bears. The Bears. So you come back home to the Bears, and that's a pretty winnable game in and of itself, depending on if Mitch Trubisky, whatever, is still the quarterback of the Bears, you know, because they brought in Nick Foles, so it'll be interesting to see who's leading the charge come week 3. Now, they got a real nasty defense with Khalil Mack and Leonard Floyd, I believe. He may not still be on there. I know Roquan Smith is. So, you know, they've got a pretty stout defense. And that's the one thing I've noticed, that in the first 4 weeks, we play some really stout defenses. You know, between Seattle, potentially Dallas, the Bears, and then the Packers. I mean, that's 4 really good defenses, and so this offensive line is our offensive line is going to have to gel, and they're going to have to gel quickly, because if we get off to a start like we did last year, and let Matt Ryan get tattooed, it's going to be a tough year. It's going to be set up for a long season if they just, you know, sit back there and let Matt Ryan get ran over. And then Dirk Koetter's going to have to be on his game there as well about, you know, like game planning to stop these guys. You know, game planning to neutralize Khalil Mack as much as you can. You know, game planning to neutralize Lawrence and the Smith brothers. That's going to be on Dirk Koetter. And that really does actually have me worried. So after that first block of the home away, you do home and away again with the Panthers, Vikings, Lions, and Panthers again. Now that's a decent little stretch. You got the Panthers with unknown at Teddy Bridgewater, also new coach. Dan Quinn's been pretty good about playing against the Panthers. It'll be interesting to see how he matches up against Matt Rule. But needless to say, I feel pretty good about what the Panthers bring to the table. Now the Vikings, you know, they mollywopped us last year. Like we barely made Kirk Cousins throw. Now we're gonna have to do a better job this time around. And you know, they'll be in our bill. No, it looks like we'll be up in Minnesota. Yeah, we'll be up in Minnesota. So that was another thing that I found interesting, kind of going back to week 1. How nice is it to actually have Seattle traveling here instead of us having to go to Seattle in the regular season? You know, that's kind of cool. That's kind of good there. The Lions, I'm not necessarily worried about at this junction. I know it sounds like I'm probably gearing up to give you some kind of prediction. I'm not giving you a prediction as far as what I think our season's going to be. Because I got to see how this team plays in the first, 3-4 games. That's going to tell me a lot about how this season is going to go. But I do like the fact that we don't play the first AFC team until like week 8 or 9. So that's good because Dan Quinn hasn't fared very well against the AFC opponents. So to get the season rolling with NFC opponents, quite refreshing, I guess. And the first AFC opponent we face is the Broncos, which was going to be the London game. But with all the COVID stuff going on, y'all know they canceled the international series. So for all you folks who got, season tickets or want to buy tickets to the game, there's another chance to go down to the stadium right there, because we recoup a home game. So after you play the Broncos, you go on a bye, and then you start something that I'm going to put up. I got a tweet or whatever to put up. Something that's interesting. You have the Saints, the Raiders, and then the Saints again. Now there was an interesting tweet talking about, whoever won the first matchup in a back to back like that, when you have like just one game in between, tends to lose the second one. So it'd be really interesting to see if that holds true, because that happens to us twice this year. It happens with the Saints, and then at the end of the year with the Bucks. Now, some other really interesting notes about the season is I'm glad we get Green Bay early. I don't necessarily I don't really like going to Green Bay in December, and here lately when we've gone to Green Bay in the regular season, it has been in December. So we get to catch Green Bay at earlier time in October, but it'd be really interesting to see, and I'm going to go ahead and say it, it'd be interesting to see who their quarterback's going to be. And you say, oh, well, JR, it's Aaron Rodgers. Well, there seems to be a power struggle going on in Green Bay. So it's going to be really interesting to see who's at the helm when we go up to Lambeau. But at least we're going up there in October, not when our guys are going to be freezing to death. Now, as far as freezing to death goes, we do have to go play Kansas City in December. I think it was December. Let's see. It's towards the very end of the season. Kansas City, right a couple days after Christmas. We get to play them up in Arrowhead. And so we get to see Pat Mahomes and see if our defense can do anything to slow him down and his Brett Favrean ways. Now, as far as everybody was worried about the big hoopla matchup against Tom Brady, you get them at the tail end of the season. It's Bucks, Chiefs, Bucks. So you get to see them twice in a row real quick. But it definitely didn't turn out to be the storyline that we thought it was going to be. It seems like I said before, it seems like they're really going to be trying to push the Brady Breeze narrative. Not, as always, not really giving the Falcons much respect, even though as far as the NFC South goes, until Brady got here, we had an MVP. We had, a starting Super Bowl quarterback, guy who has passed for more consecutive yards in years row than I think anybody else has. But yeah, it's okay. We're just going to continue to overlook him. But the biggest takeaway that I had, man, is that if this offensive line doesn't get get gelled and get going early, it's going to end up being a long season, because we face a lot of real potent defenses right at the beginning of the season. So if it's Matt Hennessy at left guard, I hope he straps in, and I hope Alex Mack gets him up and rolling between him and Jake Matthews. But, if they're not comfortable, then, man, I hope Jamon Brown or James Carpenter is up for the task, because we're going to have it. And I hope them boys on the right side of the line, the Bash brothers there, I hope that they've gotten some good work in this offseason, because they're going to get tested right out the gate again. So that's what I got as far as the schedule release. Keep an eye on the channel. I'll be doing another video on Tuesday talking about Michael Walker. I'm doing another film breakdown. I was going to put that out on Saturday, but with the schedule dropping, I figured it'd be cool to talk about that for a minute and give you my opinions there. So keep an eye on the channel. Like I said, I got that coming on Tuesday morning. And follow us on Twitter. I'm Grim1128. That's GRIMM1128. And Toby D is Toby D1991. So, hey, why don't y'all drop your predictions down in the bottom of the comments? Let me know what you think we're going to do this year. I may give a prediction as we get closer to the season, but right now I have to see how training camp and all that stuff fleshes out. But anyway, that's what I got for you. And as always, Falcons fans, rise up.